It's so nice to see you. It feels like a really long time, and we have various adventures to our name already. Like, one that sticks in my mind is, I don't know why this was the case, but Jacob was in a hotel in London, or he was doing some work, and you were there.
Oh, yeah.
You came to say hello, and he didn't have any food. And in the cab, I had sent groceries, including puff wheat and rice milk. And then you sent a picture of you eating the puff wheat and rice milk, and it was lovely. What was happening that day? Can you remember why you were there?
Oh, man, my memory is so bad. It's so bad. Where was I and why? Why did I find him? I feel like I was doing something else, and then he was just around and about. Oh, was it the showcase day? No, I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, I think it was that. No, I think it was that.
Maybe I think it was the night before or something.
Oh, I don't know, but the thing is, you had some of the puff wheat, and that was so nice.
Because he was going on about it, and I was like, honestly, this sounds rank, but it was pretty good. I think just because it was such an unexpected snack. But cereal is good when you don't expect it.
But unexpected snacks are like unexpected surprises.
And you know what I think about a lot when me and Jacob were doing our sessions, and you came in with a little tray of treats. There was like apple and chocolate, and I don't know why, it just tasted extra good. It was so sweet.
I think that's because I had that kind of treatment when I was growing up. I think the biggest treat would be my mother doing exactly that. There'll be a tray of bits, and you never knew quite what was going to be on the tray of bits, but it was the way it was laid out, and it was just given, and so freely given, and it meant that I could accept it so well. And so I have a need these days. I really want to be able to do that. It fills my heart with joy when that happens. I wonder what else was on that tray besides fruit and chocolate.
I can't remember, you know. Maybe like crackers. My memory says peanut butter, but I know that's not true.
Oh, give over. For those who don't know, Jacob has a severe peanut allergy. No, so I don't think it was that at all, but it was a nice time. And I do remember meeting you for the first time and feeling warmth, but also a kind of spark, but also a realness. And that's a special thing, because you can get a warmth and a spark, but a realness is harder to find. And it was just there. It was just lovely, and you were all that I expected and more. It was just a nice thing, really.
That's so nice, Suzie.
But thank you for saying yes to being here and having a convo today. I feel that we've been brewing a conversation actually for really quite a long time, but I wonder how it feels to be you having come off the tour.
Oh gosh, definitely complicated. I'm struggling a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I love tour, and tour is extremely difficult. And this one was very long. I had a month and a half in the US at the beginning of the year, and then I had a few weeks off, and then we did a month and a half, or maybe just a month, in Europe.
Yeah.
I feel like that first leg was so long and so exciting because it was America, and it was, I don't know, bigger and grander, and it felt. But yeah, and then to come back home just for a little while and then go off again, it was very strange. And I think by the end I was getting quite grumpy, and I feel like you should never be grumpy on tour because it's amazing. Like, the whole thing is so good. So the minute you start feeling like you just want to be alone, like, that is when, I don't know, it's a little worrying for me, because I love company, I love being around people, but at this point I think it was finally taking its toll. But now obviously I miss it.
But I think the interesting thing is you use the term grumpy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being grumpy on tour. And I think you'd have to be a particular kind of a creature not to feel grumpy, and not to feel like you want to have your own space. And I also think that it is really complicated being away,
for sure.
And that surely you ride the waves, and it goes up and down.
That is something I've learned, actually. I've been like playing shows for a really long time, and I feel like only recently, like in the last we lost 2 years, but 2 or 3 years, have I like actually finally found the answer and like been able to like feel confident and hear myself and just like enjoy shows as I've always wanted to. And I really do now. Like every show is so fun and gives me something, and I perform in the way I've always wanted to. But just occasionally there will be one show where I'm not quite in it, or, you know, I don't know, like I'll mess up and then be in my head or that kind of thing. And I think in the past I used to get really grumpy about that and upset and angry at myself. But now I think I know that I have done everything I can in the day possible to survive and have a good time. And if I'm not, or, you know, obviously shows are wonderful, but if for some reason this one is a little more complicated and difficult for me, you just have to like let it go and understand that was just a show of like that experience, and like it all combines to make that tour.
It does, really. I think I've got two thoughts that come from that. One is the fact that you say that it's now that you're feeling that you can perform in the way that you want to, and that you're I think you're inhabiting every show, even if it doesn't always feel comfortable, and but it feels good. Do you know how that transition happened? Is it just kind of a magical thing that just happens, or how do you think it happened?
Honestly, a lot of experience. Every show. Only in like 2018 or 2019 was I comfortable like holding a microphone. It felt really alien to me. I just didn't want to be that kind of artist, whatever that meant. I think because I felt like I had to do it in a certain way, when really the answer was I had to find my own way, and for me to come out and hold a microphone that didn't make me feel like I was trying to be something that I'm not. Like I felt like why is everyone pushing me into this pop box? I'm clearly not. But then I like started to hold a microphone and like do my own wacky dancing, and it felt good to, I don't know, it felt good to do. So honestly, experience and confidence. Also, I know this might be a simple one, but I got new in-ears that meant I could hear myself really clearly, and that was a game changer, finally. But that was in like 2019. And truly I was like, oh my God. I felt so much regret for the past tours where I'd been struggling and barking at sound engineers, being like, this is so difficult, I don't understand. We had like the EQ level of my like in-ears was mental for a while, and now it's just fine always. Whenever I play, I can always hear myself, and that is so good. That really helped. But
don't you think that's crazy that there is something that you were missing out on, and you didn't really know how much you were missing out on it?
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you say, now there's so much I regret because, I barked at the engineers and stuff. And maybe you can regret barking at the engineers because it kind of wasn't their fault.
No, it wasn't at all.
But I think it was all part of the experience that you went through that. My dad used to say to me, don't wish for a really fantastic violin to play on, because, go through loads of shows playing on a piece of firewood, and if you can bring a really nice sound out of that and not feel too grumpy afterwards, then that's amazing. And then, you get the nice violin, you think, oh,
wow,
yeah. This is so different, and I've never had this before, and aren't I lucky? And I'm so glad you got great in-ears.
I know, me too. It really, really made the difference.
Yeah, it really does. Where do you put the box?
I now wear a lot of like bands, like whenever, as in like, like a skirt with a big waistband. Do you mean the pack, right?
Well, I mean, it's always a question of where to put the thing.
I usually put it right here.
Okay.
So that just in case I can just be like, like tweak it just a little. But more recently, because it's been so good, I've just been putting it right on the back. So it doesn't get in the way. But usually right here is my comfort spot.
Yes, but that's real trust to put it at the back.
I know. I feel like every show it was like getting further and further away from my hand.
I think that's really, really meaningful. I also want to come back to the idea of when a show doesn't quite feel... It doesn't quite feel.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not complete because you're not quite completely in, or there's something that just feels different in there.
There are so many different elements. I think playing shows are fascinating to like, I don't know, like being like, it's such a weird, surreal experience.
Yeah,
there are so many different elements. Though I will say the one thing, and I'm a very floaty person, the one thing that keeps me grounded is, I think I don't realize it, but I start looking in between people, and then I'm like, what am I doing? Like, there are humans in this room, and then I'll start like actually paying attention to them, and that is so grounding because then it feels like a real connection.
Do you know, I've never heard it described like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
Looking in between people. When I was taught how to, when I was at college, we were taught how to look out at the audience.
Yeah, me too.
But
drama.
Well, I wonder what they said, because in those days, I think things have changed. In those days, they would say, find the clock at the back of the room or whatever. And, you know, you're going to focus on that, and you're not going to be focusing in on the person.
Do you think there's a big difference between playing something a little bit more, you know, classical and professional, like in that world, or, you know, something like I do, which is like, I want to like bring up a feeling and connect, or are they so similar?
I think I want to bring up a feeling and connect, but I think that there is not a boundary, not even a line, but there is a kind of a focus point, which means that I'm not going to be looking and engaging with the audience in order to give that. And I think if I did, I think people would feel a little bit analysed in that situation. And then when it comes into a gig situation, I mean, the thing that you want to do when you walk out there is to just say, oh, hello world, I can't believe that you're actually here, and you see these faces, and actually you see the phones, and it's a beautiful feeling. It's really, really lovely. But I've only realised that in recent years, because obviously I was a classical player for so long without doing anything else. So it's an absolute treat to me, but I love the idea that you look between the people, and then you look at the people, and then you get that connection. Yeah,
it's always so useful. Immediately, if I'm like not spiraling, but you know, just like, I think it's so easy to dissociate when you play. Like, even people who don't feel that regularly, it's like, I think obviously you're like, you can go into like autopilot, or you know. And then, like, it's so funny how your brain can think of so many other things and analyze everything. It's almost like, I feel almost closer to dreaming when I'm playing sometimes, if I'm in a bad way. And then I'll be like, whoa, look at someone, and then immediately grounded.
Do you know those folks, and I've tried this too, who will say, but the only way that I'm going to actually really be in the experience is I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to go into a kind of a trance, dreamlike world where I'm just kind of transported away from here, and I'm in my own world. And I've heard that so many times. I have definitely tried it, and it's a different kind of a trip, really. And I think I have really realised that you can still have that amazing feeling of oneness with what you're doing, whilst being connected to the ground, and being connected to those who are around you, and being connected to the acoustic of this, you know, whatever room you happen to be in. So I really understand when you say, gosh, you know, I'm approaching dreaming, and I'm disassociating myself. And actually, I think it's the fact that you're feeling disquieted by it and you want to change it. That's mega, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there are like different techniques you can whip out, because some, like, who knows, maybe dissociation really helps it in a certain song, you know?
Yeah.
I do think about that. I try and like remember the place I was when I wrote it, or how the lyrics apply to me now, and then that can send me into a spiral. But maybe that's a good thing, because it means that every word I'm singing, I'm like, oh yeah, this is bringing some sort of like more meaning or energy to it. But yeah, they're kind of like different tactics you can whip out if a song calls for being more disconnected and in yourself and like really you know, focused, or whether you want to like open yourself up a little bit. I miss playing. I can't believe it. It's been that long.
No, that's really good. But when you use the term spiral, I don't know if spiraling is always a negative thing, because the spiral in itself is something that moves, and we tend to say we're spiraling down, and it does feel a bit kind of free fall, a bit kind of out of control. But there's also something about the shape of going round and round in the same way, and your vista is changing a little bit each time, and you might be familiar with it, or you're feeling it in a new way, and it's uncomfortable. But is it always negative?
You know, that is so beautiful. I've literally never thought about it that way. And I think it's so easy. And it's something that I preach, like, you know, everything that hurts is like a lesson, like everything is a life experience, enjoy it all. But it is really easy to feel like when you're feeling bad, it's a waste of time.
Yes.
But I don't know, just you saying that was a helpful reminder that everything is useful.
I think not only is everything useful, but we have the chance to see things in a different way each time we spiral. It doesn't need to feel exactly the same. And I'd like to go back to the idea of you with your words. And it's like smells and tastes and sensations and looking. And you can look and you can say, oh, I feel uncomfortable because that time really hurt. And it was really awful. And you can kind of be in there. Even if it's for a split second, you can be in there. But you've written these incredibly wonderful words. I love your words in general. In general, it's such a silly thing, isn't it? I love the way you use words. They touch me in such an intimate way and in such a real way. But I wonder whether you've ever been on that stage and you can actually reread those words as you're singing them and discover them anew, almost as though you haven't written them in the first place. Here are these words and I'm going to say this in a different way, and actually I'm going to feel the intention of the phrase in a different way, so it just doesn't end up being like this, but it's actually can feel like this. Have you done any of that?
Definitely. It's to the point where I've almost laughed on stage because something I've written in the past is like coming up so strong, and then I forget until I reach it, and I'm like, wow, how did I know? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense that I relate to them because I wrote them. But yeah, there's definitely been moments where something comes up, just like a summation of a subconscious feeling. I'm like, wow, yep, still feeling that. And sometimes that can feel heavy because I'm like, wow, that is something I still feel. What?
Oh, yeah.
After all these years. But sometimes it also feels familiar and like friendly. I'm like, yep, we're still carrying that, Dodie. It's nice.
Well, I think it's a mixture. It's like well, I don't know what you're like, but when I go anywhere, I overpack. And I've got everything that I think I might need and everything that I really don't know that I'll need, but I really want it in there because then I'll feel really safe. And then, you know, it's kind of knowing that it's all there is something that I can feel quite positive about, or I can think, oh, I don't need to carry all this stuff all the time, and I can castigate myself and just say, that's just really silly that I'm carrying it around. But I think at best, I just think, okay, my bag's a bit heavy. And so I carry this stuff around and yeah, shucks, I do still feel that this is a painful bit, but I'm also here on my journey and I'm doing different things. And I just think there are two ways to perceive that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's funny. I think I mean, there's a few ways of looking at anything, but for a while I had like basically like, I don't know, poems or artwork or whatever, even from my mum, of like things just basically saying like let go, like let go of a lot of things, and I think that's always been a struggle for me. Yeah, I don't know why, but
because I think it is very best. I really understand why people use the phrase let go, because it's a bit like I'm holding your hand as you walk along a very narrow tightrope, and then I say, how about we let go so you can give a go by yourself? And in that situation, you can say, I don't feel comfortable, or you can say, yeah, give it a go, and if I fall off, it's really fine. But I think with these thoughts and feelings that we entertain, and we give them meals, and we let them stay up at night, and we talk to them a lot, and we make sure they're feeling okay in there. I think it's all right to know that they're there. And I think that once our vistas are filled with other things that just take a bit more airspace, then those things, you know, may feel a bit smaller one day and may feel a bit bigger one day. But I don't know, I think it's just a recent thing that I just feel letting go is a difficult thing, but being grounded and real and authentic to myself is perhaps a bit easier.
Mm.
And that it's all okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything to say to that except, I don't know. Yeah. I get these rare moments where everything seems like beautiful, I guess, in a way. And all of the pain. And like every single moment is just like a living experience. Yeah.
But when things don't feel so good, and you did start off by saying, oh yeah, I'm back and it's complicated and it's not really that easy. I wonder how you treat yourself and how you take care to treat yourself kindly.
Yeah. It's definitely difficult. I love the way you speak about this, by the way. It always pops up in my head whenever I'm feeling bad. I remember specifically you always say, like, it's disrespectful to yourself to not give yourself care or time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still pretty, I think, bad at it, which is probably ironic because I'm bad at it because I'm feeling bad. So it's this horrendous cycle. I've had like moments of clarity where I'll, put the phone down, throw it in the corner of the room and start making lists about how I can look after myself. There you go. This is like what I want to do every day. Here, I'll get it. 1 second.
Well, if you're anything like me, there are many, many lists. Let's just see what this one is all about.
So this came after a big cry.
Okay, I'm
and
ready
just
for
like
you.
Something needs to change. I guess it's mirrored, but it says, get outside, walk, make one content or like TikTok or like, just one piece of thing I can be proud of. And then drink enough water / nourish self. Because it's kind of like basic needs, just like basic things instead of sitting in the dark and scrolling for hours and just disconnecting.
Lists are really useful, aren't they? If you could see my desk right now, well, I have actually I tried to tidy my desk before I saw you, not really sure why. I had these pieces of paper that are all lists and I sort of folded them neatly and put them in my diary because I'm not ready to throw them away yet. But don't you think lists are funny things because they can make you feel, I've kind of expressed what I'd quite like to have. But sometimes my lists feel really disempowering and I just think, I can't believe it. Now I've written all that out, I can see that I have 45 things that I haven't thought about and all these people I haven't responded to and this is just terrible. And it becomes a real kind of self-flagellation judgment day, okay? Instead of, here's a list and it just says, get some air and maybe eat something.
Yeah, definitely. It's tough. I feel like there have been so many things for me that have just like managed to figure themselves out. For example, I never used to be good with the schedule, but then in time I learned to like have a calendar and like Google Calendar system really helps me. Or, I never learned how to clean my room properly. And then like in time I just learned the organization, that kind of thing. So I think I'm still waiting for the like list taking organization lesson to hit. I'm like, one day it'll all make sense, but I don't know, maybe that is something that I have to actively figure out. But yeah, you're right.
I like the idea of, you're laughing, but when you say one day it will all make sense or it might all make sense. And I think that's just great because I feel that it's a total treat when I have cleaned up my room. Or it's just amazing if I've put the stuff in my diary and I can see what's happening. But I don't expect it all to happen all at once.
Yes.
I think sometimes doing those things can beget a bit more confidence to sort of think, come on, if I've done that, then I can conquer the world. Well, maybe not conquer the world, but maybe I can feel really good in myself. But I think sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a cathartic thing that you've cleaned up your room and maybe that's enough as it is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's I feel like maybe my room is a good representation of how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But in various ways. If it's chaotic, I might be really busy and therefore distracted and like fulfilled in another way. But also it might be because I am lazy and I don't care enough to look after myself. Or if it's completely clean, it might be because I'm lacking control in other areas and I feel like this is the only thing I can do.
Correct.
Or it might be because I'm looking after myself and I want a good space.
And that's okay, but it's just good in itself, isn't it? So I think it's really rare that everything feels kind of so tickety-boo that you can't find a fault in it at all. But I think it is really important to recognise how lovely it is when you do get that day when you feel like clearing up your room, because it doesn't happen every day, does it?
No. No, it really doesn't.
It really, really doesn't. I'm thinking about you and words, and I sank myself into your music last night. It was just a real treat. And I felt really moved to tears. I really felt very emotional, very, very emotional. You, as I said before, you have a kind of a raw intimacy. And I think the way that you record a lot of the tracks means that you feel very close to me. I feel that we're really just inches apart, just having a conversation that's really special, and it really is just for me right now, and I'm really hearing it, and I'm really being moved by it, and I think you are so masterful at words and how to really make them into real feelings. And I'm just wondering when you first realised that you did have that kind of a gift, and whether you do indeed perceive it as a gift to have that with words.
Oh, that's so nice, Suzie. Thank you. And thank you for listening so intently. I think, like all things, it took a while to refine and learn. I think the like most useful part for me was that I never had a goal in mind. I think I didn't really understand what I guess a career in music was or could be for me. So when I started writing, it was just wholly for me, and in order to like understand myself and make something that I like and make something that I'm proud of, and also because I loved other artists, and other artists made me feel the way that you were describing. So I wanted so badly to make that for myself and feel that way with something I've made for me, really. And then I don't know, just years and years of doing it, and it's funny how sometimes words can come so easily. It'll just be something you say. Writing really is like therapy, isn't it? I think so.
Yes.
Just like phrases will come up that are so profound and you didn't even know that it was in you, and it makes for a beautiful line. Or you'll spend days, years crafting something to sum up a feeling, which is definitely takes a bit more time. But in order to give the same energy and feeling that first one did, which just came to you so naturally.
You are really going to be ministering to so many of us, anybody who listens to this podcast, to hear that you never had a goal in mind, and to hear that you started writing wholly for yourself because you wanted to create something that you really liked and you really valued in there. I think that's it. I think that's kind of reaching the destination, isn't it? In one sense, did you really need any more than that? It's just it happened, but I don't know that you even needed any more than that.
I think in times like these, when I feel very lost and sometimes unfulfilled, probably because tour has ended and now it doesn't feel like I'm not getting that daily dose of fulfillment anymore. I have to make it for myself. So it's hard. It's been hard to write and create recently just because nothing feels good enough, or like people won't be interested. But I really, really, really have to just scrape that all away and be like, do I like it? Do I want to make something?
Yeah.
It's so important. And then ironically and thankfully, maybe attention will naturally come anyway. But I really have to just not even look at that and just do it because I love it. Even if it's just for me, just to get it out.
When you come back from, you've had 2 epic tours. and you're a chapter ahead of Jacob. I mean, I think he was so sad that, you know, you weren't going to be in the same continent at the same time. And did you leave messages for each other in venues or not?
No, I wish we did.
Honestly, you too. It's just ridiculous.
I know. He was sending me videos of like venues that I'd been in.
Yeah.
He signed his name next to mine, and then he was in Crystal Ballroom in Portland, which has like a bouncy floor, that kind of thing. But no, we should have done that. That would have been really funny.
That would have been really, really good. But I wonder, honestly, how creative you feel having come back, and you feel a bit lost and lacking in that fulfillment, which is not only natural, but I think it's kind of healthy in a way. I think it's, how can you match that intense experience? Yeah. There is nothing that feels like that, is there? Yeah, nothing. No. Nothing.
It honestly feels like cold turkey. Like, I feel like, I mean, I guess I literally was given a shot of adrenaline every day. And
yes.
Now I'm almost in, what's the word? When you like are struggling. What's it called? When you give up something and you struggle with
relinquish. Relinquish?
Well, that's way more flowery than what I was trying to...
I think that's a bit flowery and poetic. I really ought to be quiet. I'm sure there's a better word.
I can't remember what it's called. What on earth is going on? What is the word? That was a very... relinquish. I think was not it, but I love that word.
Why don't we just make one up just now? Okay, so
sure.
let's make up a word that feels like that feeling. Go. We'll do it together, but you start.
Okay, well, you're missing. There is a word that exists. I feel like we're going to get one really close. It's not like remission. It's not like, you know what?
Do you want it to start with an R?
Yeah, I feel like it's like because it's like.
How about just rubbish?
It's just rubbish, isn't it? There you go. That is a perfect word beginning with that. Wow, all of these words surrounding this one word.
Yeah, this is going to be a great song. It's just going to be fantastic. But listen, I mean, yeah, do you feel creative at all?
Not really. I think I'm trying to force it. So I put a plan in place for myself, which is usually very smart because it's the sort of only way I can complete things. I made sure to promise the world and myself that every month I would make a video of my month and write a song alongside it.
Yeah.
For the first few months, I've really enjoyed every song I've made. You know, I start struggling, but then I finish and I'm like, I'm so glad I saw this through. This actually became something beautiful. I'm so glad I put that in place for myself. May, I have not completed, except I did write a song. I actually think it is not good. It's not good. It's not a good song.
Okay, yeah.
But I saw it through regardless. I think this was one of the rare times where I do see it through and I still don't like it.
Yeah.
So...
But how does that, really honestly, how does that feel?
Terrible. I am convinced I will never write a good song again.
Oh.
I think I'm at the end and I did all my good work.
That's
and
right, yeah.
This is where I'm at now. Because I think you just take the truth as like what it is right now. I find it difficult to have any foresight. I feel the same way if I don't know, play a bad show or, you know, that kind of thing. I'm like, well, all the good ones are gone and this is it now, which is just... Maybe it's just your mind's way of trying to already process something. I think I do that a lot. It
is, but I think it's really interesting you say, at that moment I don't have any foresight, but actually you are having foresight because you're saying, I'm never going to write a good song again. And so actually I think you are completely stuck up to your thighs in mud, in the present, kind of just thinking, this is how it is and this is how it has been and this is how it's going to be. I think you're stuck in the present, but you're also stuck with the idea of your prediction of the future.
Yeah.
Whereas actually... if you're simply stuck in the present and you're not reflecting back or forward and comparing the two, how you might feel. These were the halcyon days, they were just fantastic, and this is going to be absolute rubbish. Then I think it's easier. I think it's easier to just say, okay, I'm feeling this right now, and it's horrible in every single way, and it doesn't feel good at all now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's so true. And you do talk about that a lot, and it's very useful. It's just so hard. I think, what I was saying was, like, I realised that, like, I immediately try and plan for the worst immediately, so I can get a good grip on it before anyone else does, or before even I do, just so I can like know what's happening, then be like, all right, okay, time to let that go, time to like figure something out already, let's start now, cut it off, let's go.
But do you think there's also kind of a spoiler alert here? So it's really much safer when you're low to just say nothing's ever going to be great again, I'm never going to write anything, because then you won't ever be disappointed, will you?
That's true, you're right, you're really setting the bar so low so that anything else,
it's wonderful.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, basically I'm just going to put myself through so much hell, because then obviously it can't really get any worse, unless I want to replicate the feeling again tomorrow and the next day and call it my reality.
And yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And that takes quite a lot of hard work, actually, to keep that going in that way.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that it feels hard.
It's okay.
And I kind of know vicariously a bit about how that feels, because of having my family in this house and one of them who comes back, and I get what it feels like. And I'd even say being so lucky to go out occasionally and join him and to have that experience is so, it's not just precious, and it's not just inspiring, and it's not just life enhancing, it's really hard to come back.
Totally. I feel like anyone will experience that feeling when they've had something, that they've been waiting for so long, and then it will happen, and the aftermath of that is just so... I was actually talking to a friend day before yesterday who said that he doesn't like to go on holidays because the feeling he has on the plane back is almost not worth it, because it's similar of like, oh, it's over now and time to go back, or I don't know, and then it almost feels like the ordinary is so much lower than it was because you have like something so big to compare it to.
Yes.
It's tough. I guess they call it the blues, post whatever blues.
Yeah, but if we could actually create a really good blues while we're having the blues, that would be really good, wouldn't it?
That would be great, yeah.
There's a nice Ruby Wax quote, and I can't remember it entirely, and I haven't got the book to hand, but she says something like, you're going away on holiday and you're excited about going away on holiday, and as soon as you're there, you're spending all your time looking at Airbnbs for your next holiday, because you've really got to make sure that you've got something else to look forward to, and it just stops you from being in the present. And it's because you kind of want to keep that feeling going. You want to... I know people say, do you wish it was Christmas every day? And you'd say, well, no, I don't wish it was Christmas every day. And then they'd say, well, do you wish you were on tour every day? And you're going to say yes or no?
No, I don't think so. No.
See, I don't think so, really. But then it's really difficult.
Maybe just a little more often.
But a little bit more often would be good, because it would kind of chip in on the sunshine factor. It'd be just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our own sunshine today, and it's really quite nice in Blighty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually, I'm really pleased to be speaking with you, because actually you're really thoughtful right now, and you're going through some, and that's just so lovely to be a part of with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely. I feel a little grayer, but it feels nice to talk it through, and also know that it is completely normal and expected, and just a period of time. And also a lot of other people experience this, and someone like Jacob probably will as well, which feels silly to me because it doesn't feel like he needs to, but regardless he will.
Yeah.
And that feels obviously not good, but a little comforting. Sorry, Jacob.
I think it's hugely comforting, and I think it's
maybe
great.
He won't. Maybe he'll come back and be like, "That was great." Next.
We've never had that before. That would be a first. I'd be really, really shocked. I don't know. It's really good to just kind of sink in here and just feel it for a minute, really. I think it's a good thing. I think one of the other things that I felt when I met you besides the spark and the realness and a nice bit of connection in there as well, is that you retain a really beautiful childlike energy about you, which is ageless and very beautiful. And I'm wondering whether you have ever thought about that in yourself and what it means to you.
Definitely. When I was young, I desperately made myself a promise. I almost shouted to my future self that I wouldn't ever remember. I wouldn't ever forget, what it was like as a kid. And I feel like she's always screaming at me, like, don't forget me. 7-year-old me just being like, this, right now. I was obsessed with the future. I even found some old footage of me as a kid saying hello to my future self. And so I feel like I carry her with me. And I don't forget that promise, as strong as it was. And also, I think I lost it for a while. I went through some really bad times, and I met a friend, actually. Her name's Shannon, and she also likes to, carry her child self and dip into that play much more often, and that really helped me in that dark time. And I think connecting with her taught me so much. So yeah, I like to carry her.
It sounds like she carried you a little bit as well. What was it like being 7-year-old Dodie?
It was really fun. It was really, really fun. I feel like I was just bursting everywhere all the time, constantly. I was just so full of everything. Yeah, it was just extremely colourful, I think. And also maybe that also has its downsides, because I wanted everything. And yeah, I don't know. And I think I was putting myself out there a lot. And it was, yeah, I don't know. I think it was really fun. I think that's why it was so difficult when I got older and I lost that a little, because it felt, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose that's probably why I look back so much, because it felt like my past was so colourful, and then I lost that a little. But yeah.
Who enabled you to embrace the colourfulness of being 7?
Probably me. Probably me, my mum. Well, is that... I'm not sure. I think I just had to. Yeah, I'm not sure if I had a choice.
I love the fact that you don't have a choice, but I think a lot of 7-year-olds might say, I'd like to be colourful, but I don't really know how to let it all burst out, and don't really know how to do that, and I feel constrained. And you obviously didn't feel that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I also think quite a lot of it was looking for praise, which maybe wasn't so healthy. But yeah, there's definitely upsides and downsides to that.
So what would you do that would get you praise, and what did praise look like when it was served up on a plate in front of you?
Funnily enough, I was in a lot of shows, amateur town hall sort of shows, and that was so delicious to me. It was so fun. I just loved it all. Yeah, I loved playing pretend and definitely doing that on stage as well. And I don't know, it just felt really fun.
But what did the praise look like? What did people actually say to 7-year-old Dodie, who's just loving being on the stage and giving her all and playing pretend? What did they say to you?
Probably, what a pretty dress, and wow, that was wonderful. And I just ate it up. And probably, I don't know, maybe my parents getting emotional, because they were very emotional people, and I think maybe I equated that to doing something right, in order to make them feel and connect more with the world. So yeah, I think a lot of it was that.
Okay, I think that's really really very special. I think 7 is a really precious age. I remember all my children at 7, and it felt like a new stage, a new place to be, a new canvas, independent thought, and old enough to explore in a particular kind of a way. So I remember all mine at 7. But then when do you think things began to change and it wasn't quite so easy to feel so colourful and so bursting with it all the time? Do you remember a kind of a time? Do you remember a kind of an age?
Yeah, definitely. Also, I think it's so interesting that you have so many perspectives on being or going through that time in your life or any time in your life, because you have your own life and then you also have your children as well. That must be so interesting.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
Because it's really true. It's a privilege that I just can't even put it into words. It's weird, and sometimes I tell myself off because I just think I just can't remember enough. But actually I think we do remember the things that we need to remember. Actually my children being 7 is definitely, I can feel it. There's a warmth and a vitality just thinking about them all at that age. And you know, as we're on that particular theme, I think it's interesting how some people will say, well, you know, when they get to 18 or whatever, they'll move away and they'll be independent, and you won't have to carry them in the same way. And you don't have to carry them in the same way, but actually I think childlike problems become adult problems. And I think it's a much more complicated playground to be in once you're older. So I feel that it's a big thing when it gets older.
It was definitely around 18 when I started feeling like I was struggling a little bit, and like losing that colour per se. But yeah.
That took you a long time. I think 18 is a big age to be. Was it a slow, kind of gradual realization that perhaps things were not as colourful, or did it kind of happen in a sudden way?
I think there was a particularly tough year where a lot of things happened that really shook my truth, I think. And what I thought I knew. And then at first I think I was still acting in this sort of manic way, and then everything started to slow down and creep in. There were a few factors. I will say I think moving away to a place where I didn't have any friends really in the middle of winter was the perfect petri dish for all of this stuff to finally grow that has been planted.
They're filling that dish and more, aren't they?
Yeah, it was honestly a silly thing to do, but to be honest I don't think I could have escaped it. It's just that particular setting was the perfect place for everything to start. I felt like I grew mold.
Yes, it sounds like you did, really. Does it feel nice to be the age that you are now?
My instinct is to say yes immediately.
It may not be straightforward. That's I asked it in a particular kind of way. It's probably better for me to say, honestly, how does it feel to be you at your age right now?
Certainly right. I think there are a few different things that like yell in me when I say that. And it's like, what about like the pandemic? Obviously, I'm sure everyone was feeling a very strange way when it comes to age with the pandemic. It's easy to want to say I lost those 2 years and it's not fair. Let's just pretend that I'm 2 years younger. But you know, things still happened. I was still developing, and the whole world went through it as well. And that's just the way time happened. So I have to somehow learn to accept that and really mean it. And then also because I didn't feel well for so much of my early 20s, there is again like some regret and something shouting at me saying, but I didn't even get to enjoy that part of my life. But I think that's black or white thinking. Of course I did some of it, and I learned a lot as well, and I made a lot and experienced a lot of things. So yeah, I think ultimately, yes, it feels right to be this age. I earned my way here, but there are definitely still some things I have to look at that perhaps add to me not feeling completely right being this age.
I know it's one of those questions that just comes up, but what's coming into my head right now, I'm so thoughtful about what you're saying, is what kind of things would you like to have been told when you were really going through it? You know, from 18 onwards, what would you really like to have been told to reassure and to give you hope?
I'm getting teary.
You can just say, boil your head, I don't want to answer your question.
Oh, no. No, it's okay. I think it's really useful. Honestly, the main thing that I wrote about, because I feel like I wanted to like stamp it into a song. Honestly, the main thing was that it was a temporary thing. Like, life as you grow, like everything will just expand, and it's not this dead end. I don't know, it's just like every year that you experience will add on another year, and therefore your experience of life will just like become exponential, you know? So this isn't the way you will feel forever. Like, and that is a certain thing. Like, that is the truth. Because if you told me that then, I would have just been like, you have no idea. I am right. And there's just no way to really understand it if you're in it that bad.
No, that's right. That's really right. So actually, maybe it's not about what would you like to have been told.
What would you like to know?
What would you like to know? Because actually it's quite hard, even if you know that, to feel it sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can logically look at life and understand it, but it is definitely another thing to know internally. Because I think the minute that I knew that, I started to feel better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then we take today. Here's a day. I wonder what you're going to do for the rest of the day. You're so lovely. You've got the most beautiful dress on. It's the best. You just look really, really lovely.
Aww.
But I really wonder what you're going to do with your beautifulness for the rest of the day.
Well,
I cannot believe you're showing me that list again. But can we tick any of them off? Can we just have a look at them again?
Let me think. I've definitely nourished myself. I had avocado on toast with an egg, which was delicious.
Yes, yeah.
And a cup of tea.
Okay, that's good.
I think I'll go outside for a walk 'cause it's a lovely day.
Yes.
And then I really do need to finish this project that I haven't quite looked at, that I don't feel great about. But once I just do it and complete it and talk about it and bring it to light as a thing that wasn't that good, but I made it anyway, for my own reasons,
yes,
then I'll feel much better.
I think it's okay to say that, really.
I think so too. It's not the best song in the world, but...
but here it is, and I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I like that. Well, let's see if you feel like finishing that at some point today. But you're definitely going to get outside. But
yeah,
I want to say thank you so much.
Ah, Suzie, thank you so much. I love the way you talk and think about things. It felt... I was going to say like a therapy session, but it wasn't as like intense as that. It was just so wonderful to like, yeah, hold things up and look at them with kindness.
Well, you have filled all my buckets full. They're overflowing. I just feel really full and really fed. And thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in real life. Actually, I will do. I'm going to see you really soon. So that's really great.
I'll see you at the gig, right? I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my flatmates. They're wonderful.
That's really, really good.